2, 1. Let's go. Awesome. Chef Tiffany, and I am here with Kids in the Kitchen, and in this episode we're going to learn how to saute chicken so that it's not dry or burnt, and we're also going to learn how to make a white sauce to go along with it. We're going to start off with a segment where my colleague, Park Armstrong, is going to demonstrate how to prepare your chicken. Then I'm going to teach you how to saute it and also how to make a white sauce. And then we're going to get the kids actually in the kitchen where they're going to have a friendly competition where they're going to make their own sauteed chicken and their own version of a white sauce. They have lots of choices to customize it to their own personal taste. And at the end, we're going to judge it. And so if you want to get started, Park, you want to come on over? And we've got some chicken breast to start with, and I'll let you take it away.
All right, so everybody can see what we've got here is we've got some regular old chicken breasts, and they're fairly fat, and they're just fresh from the store. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to trim off all of the extra skin and fat that we don't want. Clean up any of the veins that are in there. I'm just going to clean those out so we have a nice clean piece. Now if we looked at a piece like this and we were to try to cook it, it would take a lot of time to cook because it's so fat.
Oh, is that why it's so dry?
That's why, well, the tail end's going to dry out and this end's not going to cook at all.
Right.
So in order to cook something evenly, we need to have an even piece of chicken. It's about the same thickness all the way through. So what we can do here is we can just cut this right in half. And the trick to do that is you put your hand right here and just slide right here parallel to the blade. Now we've got two pieces that are just about the same thickness, and we'll cook up a lot evener.
That's kind of brilliant.
Yep.
Awesome.
And then you can do that for just about any piece of chicken. It's just, again, it's real quickly. We're just cleaning up all the extra pieces here that won't taste real good. There's a little bit of a vein right in the middle there you want to get out. And then again, we just come in nice and even and just slice it right in half. And we use the cutting board to give us a guide.
So I would think that having a really sharp knife is important.
It is super important. In fact, I went in the kitchen and got the sharpest knife out today before I came over.
Right. One of the things that I think a lot of people don't understand, they get really scared of a sharp knife, and you're actually safer with a sharp knife. It's when it's dull and you're fighting with it that you have a tendency to slip and then cut your hand.
Absolutely. Almost all accidents happen when you're trying to fight a dull knife.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Bud. I can't wait to see how the kids do this.
There we go.
All right.
If you cut something lengthwise with the grain and eat it, it's going to be long and chewy. A piece of beef jerky. If you cut something thin across the grain, it's going to be delicate and tender. So whenever you're cutting meats of any kind, if you want something stringy and chewy, cut it with the grain. If you want something tender and relaxed and sort of softer, cut it against the grain, and then the grains are short little pieces that go in your mouth easily as opposed to chewing these big long pieces that are long. So whenever you're cutting to eat, you're going to cut across the grain, not with the grain. And the grain moves, don't fool yourself, right? Here the grain goes this way, and here the grain goes this way. And so there's no right answer, you just kind of have to pick which one makes most sense. But if I were to slice this into slices, I would slice it this way against the grain to make thin slices. And that's what you get at the Chinese store, little thin slices of chicken cut against the grain, and when they cook up Chinese food, that's what you'll get in the way of tender little pieces of thin chicken. All right?
Okay.
There you go. There's no easy way to do this.
Okay.
It's okay, just take it over. Okay? And then when you're cutting, slower, longer strokes with the blade as opposed to short, fast ones. Because the more distance you use from the blade, the more cutting action you get. If you just push straight down, you use this much of the blade. If I drag the blade from beginning to end, I use this much of the blade, and it saws the piece of meat. So a lot easier to cut your meat with very thin, relaxed strokes that don't require pressure. There you go. Now, did you guys just notice how he rolled his fingers over? This is the easiest way to cut your fingers off. The hardest way is if you hold something this way, it's impossible to cut your fingers. And I don't even have to look because I know where the blade is because it's touching my fingers at all times. Every now and then I slip my thumb out, but you just have to be careful of it. But if you keep your blade against your finger at all times, you'll know where it is.
Yeah, but I'm not the hard way.
Yep. And then there's this one little vein that sits right in the middle here that you got out actually, right there in the crust. Right here, there's a little piece in there. And I like to just take that last little bit out because it's a little bit chewy.
All right.
And again, it's just a matter of using the blade very gently and let the blade do the work. All right?
Okay.
And then we'll flop that over and cut it in half.
Okay.
All right. There you go. Perfect.
Oh, it's really thin.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really thin.
That's all right. That happens.
That's all.
There you go. A couple little tips. Next time you had the blade leaning down a little bit, put the
Yeah.
blade down against the board and then come in flat. Leave your hand off. If you try to keep your hand over the board, the blade will always be on an angle. If you come off the edge of the table a little bit, the blade will always, you can always parallel to the table.
All right.
And that will help you a little bit next time. You also went in lengthwise and then it bunches up. And so if you spread it out thin and come in sideways, it cuts a little bit smoother.
All right.
So I'll just come through and give you, see how it comes just a little bit smoother when you come in sideways like that?
Yes.
And then I just kept it nice and flat and I got two nice even pieces like that.
All right.
There you go.
Okay, so we're going to learn tonight about how to saute proteins. And we're not actually going to work from a recipe because what I want you to be able to do is to just react to any situation, be as creative as you want to, really learn the fundamentals behind what it takes to saute any kind of meat with any kind of sauce and with any kind of flavorings. That gives you the freedom in the kitchen to just create whatever you want. And then anytime you're in a competition and somebody says, hey, I need you to do this really crazy thing, then you're going to be like, okay, no big deal. I know how to do this already. So we're actually not going to use a recipe tonight because I'm going to teach you how to do it from your head, right? It's very, very simple. So there's three parts to doing a saute. You're gonna have your protein, you're gonna have your aromatics, so that's stuff like garlic and what? Onions, what else? What else would you toss in
Garlic?
there? Chives,
wait.
garlic, yes, exactly. And then you're gonna add some kind of a liquid in order to deglaze it a little bit, okay? So those are the three pieces to the puzzle. Imagine if you listed 3 columns and you had all of the proteins that you could think about: chicken, shrimp, fish, pork, beef, all steak, right? All different kinds of things. And then in the middle column, then you have all of the different things like aromatics that you can use to flavor it with. So garlic, onions, chives, all those kinds of things. And then in your third column, you have all the different kinds of liquids. So maybe you have a white wine or a red wine or some freshly squeezed lemon juice. Then how many different combinations do you think that you can come up with on your own without a recipe, with all of those different choices all together? Just about anything, right? So one of the worst things that you can do is put cold proteins into a cold pan. So the first step in sauteing is actually to heat up your water. So how are we going to figure out how to do that? Are we going to stick our finger in there?
No.
No. Can you tell how hot it is by just kind of hovering over? No, we're not going to use our thermometer either, but what I'm going to do, a little trick, is to just put a little bit of water in it and see how it is sizzling and evaporating really quick. That's actually just a little bit too hot, so I'm going to turn it down. Okay, so I've got a hot pan, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my fat. Now, how much of this am I going to add?
A lug.
Little tiny bit, right. Do we want our chicken to be swimming in it? No, we just want just enough to cover the bottom of the pan. And so I'm just gonna swish that around. You see how chefs do that all the time, right? Okay, just gonna let that get a little bit hot. I don't want it to get too hot. When I see it start to steam, can you see that? I'm gonna go ahead and now I'm gonna add my aromatics. So this is some minced garlic. And I'm just gonna shake that up a little bit. And just let that get nice and warm. My fat is in there. All right. And now I'm gonna add my chicken. Now, one of the things that's really tempting here is to, I'm gonna add just a little bit more oil here so it doesn't stick. One of the things that's really tempting here is to flip it and flip it and flip it and flip it, okay? But we're actually gonna leave it here, and we have what you call a show side and a no side. Do you remember that, Zach?
Yeah.
Yeah, so show side, how long do we let it cook?
75% and no side is 25.
75%, right? So we're gonna be patient and we're gonna let it cook. Do you see on chicken, can you see on the edges? It's starting to get light. We're gonna let that color change in your protein. In beef or in pork, or in beef, it's gonna get brown, and in chicken and pork, it's gonna get white. Okay, so we're gonna let it cook most of the way. We're gonna see the moisture. See how the moisture is starting to kind of evaporate on the top? Do you see on chicken, can you see on the edges? It's starting to get light. We're gonna let that color change in your protein. In beef or in pork, or in beef, it's gonna get brown, and in chicken and pork, it's gonna get white. Okay, so we're gonna let it cook most of the way. We're gonna see the moisture. See how the moisture is starting to kind of evaporate on the top? So we're gonna let that happen. And then now see how the chicken is, it's white up halfway up the edges. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to flip it. All right. Get it all the way in there. All right, and we're just gonna let that sit until it is white on all of the different sides. And then how do we know it's done?
When it caramelizes.
When it caramelizes? How else do you know? What's the safest way to know whether our meat is done?
Oh, yeah.
Temperature, right? So you also sometimes have to be patient to let your thermometer actually come up to temperature, okay? So my thermometer says that it's about 110 degrees, okay? But if I let it come up, it's gonna, there we go. If I'm patient with it, it's gonna let it come up. Okay? One of my favorite things is the little chef pocket where chef always has their thermometer right there. We always use a thermometer to check whether our meat is done, because the worst thing in the world is to have raw meat. What happens? You get sick, right? And if you had a restaurant, that would close you down. And then who has seen an episode on national TV where they had raw chicken? What did the judges do?
They were out.
Eliminated, right? And so that's what I'm trying to teach you. Okay, are you guys ready for your saute challenge?
No. Yeah.
No, yes, you are. Okay, we have 30 minutes for this challenge. So I'm gonna count it down. 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Use a separate cutting board to run. Cut your dry goods, your raw meats on one side. And
Okay. Nope. Wearing a dress. I'm gonna put
thyme and rosemary with lemon. She uses lime, but we don't have lime today, so you know, I'll improvise.
Good,
And then I'm
good.
gonna put garlic on there, and yeah, I think it's gonna turn out amazing.
Awesome, I can't wait to taste it.
So tell me what you're gonna make.
I am gonna make chicken with lemon wine sauce.
Sounds good. Are you gonna bread the chicken, or are you just gonna go with a regular sauteed chicken without bread?
I kind of want to bread.
Okay. All right. And you're gonna put a little garlic in there. Have you thought about any other spices at all, or are you just gonna go real?
This thing is so quick.
I kind of want to put in chive,
Chives.
but I don't know if there's any chives in the thing.
We could look around and we'll see if we can find some. All right. Sounds good.
Yay!
Good luck.
Hey, Connor, tell me what's going on.
I'm making a lemon. I'm making a chicken breast, sauteed chicken with lemon and pepper, and then a Parmesan roux.
Nice. Awesome. That's gonna be yummy. I can't wait to try it. The chicken's looking good. Okay, Jenna, what's going on? How are you doing? Awesome. Doing chopping some onions? Yep. Okay, you want to keep that thumb back so you don't chop that off, okay? Awesome. What's your plan with your saute and your sauce?
I'm going to make a onion, sugar, and red pepper for the chicken.
Okay?
And I'm using Gruyere and butter.
Onion, sugar, and red pepper. Nice, okay? A little bit different.
And I'm using Gruyere and butter in my sauce.
Oh, okay. Very creative. So tell me what you think.
Well, I think everybody's got some really good ideas today, and it's really exciting to see where they're going. I'm watching the timing, and I'm seeing a lot of meat in, and the sauces aren't quite ready yet, and so I'm thinking that the timing might be an area that a few of them are going to work
It's hard.
with.
It's hard.
It's really hard to keep all these things moving at once.
Yeah. I'm a little bit worried about Anna because she is a little bit nervous, and so she put her chicken in, and she doesn't have any flavoring in it. So see whether she's going to be able to respond to that and add some in afterwards and make up for it a little bit, or with her sauce. But I think some of them are, especially the younger ones, are a little bit nervous, and that's okay. Right? That's what they're
I'd be
going
nervous
from.
too.
Right.
We're a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
the two of us.
One of my favorites, actually, Jenna in the back, she has one of the most unique. So she got some sugar and some red pepper to saute with her chicken. So that was one thing that was a little bit different. So I'm definitely looking forward to tasting that.
Nice, thinking outside the box a little
Yeah.
bit, being
Yeah.
creative. I like that.
Absolutely.
I like that.
We've got 10 minutes left on the clock. That is one of the hardest things to do while you're cooking, is actually manage that competition clock. So we've got some people that are definitely on the way, and there's some people that I'm a little afraid are behind the schedule. So we'll see, 10 more minutes.
Making sure that I did not So it says it's about 80 degrees and I need it to be 165, so I just need to wait.
Well, my roux is not turning out good, so I'm gonna put more butter and flour in it and see if it gets any better. Just a tablespoon. Try and save it. Because right now, this is a terrible roux. It's super chunky and I don't know what to do with it. So I'm just gonna add more stuff.
I have my lemon garlic chicken, just finishing up right here, and I'm working on a Gruyere, white sauce. It's still too thin.
I'm grating cheese. What are you doing? Oh, right. I'm grating cheese. And I'm doing this while I wait for my chicken to hurry up.
Where's the wine? I need
And while I wait for the wine. Oh no.
Okay, 1 minute, everybody. You've got 1 minute. Focus on getting your food on your plate. We want it to be beautiful. It should already be tasting good. 1 minute.
I just finished making my sauce, so I'm starting to put my chicken back in it. Because it was a little undercooked.
take that off.
I'm adding Parmesan to my sauce because it doesn't have enough Parmesan flavor. And my chicken is done, so.
I'm restarting my sauce because it got too chunky and heated up too much. So hopefully I'll be done in time.
1. Hands up.
Hands up.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I'm so proud of you. I can't wait to taste your dishes. Please bring your plate up, and we will begin judging. Okay, so sauteed chicken, not as easy as you think, right?
No, I tell you
It's a lot harder.
It seemed like it was a lot
than
harder.
it looks, right?
Yep.
So I'm gonna call up Jenna first, I think.
Absolutely.
All right,
Let's see what's
Jenna,
done.
let's bring your stuff down.
So I made chicken with onions, red pepper, and sugar, and the sauce is butter and Gruyere. And the salt shaker exploded, so.
Okay, so be
All right.
prepared for a
So
little
it's
salt.
pretty
Set all
salty.
this on top. Yep. Outside of the salt, though, I'm just going to scrape a little of the salt off so I can get down to the, let's just scrape a little bit,
Yep.
okay?
Some of that cheese in there.
Well, the good news is it's cooked. It's not dry.
The chicken's cooked perfectly. Mm-hmm. A little challenge with the salt shaker.
Yeah.
Little trick next time, when you're pouring, pour into a bowl and then pinch from your bowl onto your meal, as opposed to pouring over your meal in case you have those accidents. I've ruined many too many things that way myself. Well done, except for the salt.
Thank you.
So today I have made for you a breaded chicken with a white wine Nestlemilk sauce.
Right, this looks really good. Well, you can tell. Now, what I will say is that, at least on my end, the chicken is a little bit underdone, so you need to cook that a little bit longer next time. Crunchy outside. I like that. I think the sauce is great.
It is it's very hard to bread something properly, and you did a perfect job. Most people will overbread, and that is a perfect amount of breading. It's also very hard not to burn the breading, and I think you've done a perfect job of color without scorching it. I'm very impressed.
Now, see, I think it's just a little bit pink over here on this side,
Okay.
but not so much on your side.
Right, let's take
Yep.
a look in the big
All
spot
right.
here and see.
Yep.
I think you're cooked thoroughly. I think you're cooked through. I think the meat was just a little bit on the pink side to go, but I think you're cooked properly.
Yeah, so just a little bit longer next time.
Yep.
All right, good job, Paige.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Oh, look at that. We
Nicely
got our
plated.
first plate.
Nicely plated.
Tell us about it.
So I made a lemon garlic sauteed chicken with a Parmesan roux.
Right in there in the middle. Yeah, there we go. Get some of that flavor in there.
Very nicely moist chicken. I love the sauce. I think it's good. I'm gonna try another bite.
Connor, what's going on top here? What's
That was just for a presentation.
Okay.
It was just a garlic shot.
Little garlic.
I like the idea. I'm not sure I would use the garlic wrapper as a presentation next time. I think the lemon probably would have been just enough. Yeah, I think you had it with just the lemon. And, so just sometimes simpler is better. But other than that, I think you've done very well. It is perfectly browned. It is moist all the way through, and the sauce does not taste like flour.
No.
It tastes like a well-done, mature sauce, which is hard to do with a roux.
Absolutely.
Yep. Nicely
Especially,
done.
how old are you, Connor?
12.
12.
Nicely done.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Hi, Grant.
Hi.
Tell us about your chicken.
Well, my chicken decided it was a little hot, so it decided to go swimming in the sauce I made. But it's chicken with garlic, and I tried to bread it, but you know, it's not easy. And it's in a kind of sauce, kind of scraps, but I hope you guys like it.
It's a little heavy on the vinegar. Is it vinegar? No.
think the garlic's just a hair burnt, and it's permeating the rest of the meal. But the breading is done nicely, and the chicken is cooked perfectly. I think the garlic is just giving it a little bit
Too
of a
much in the
strength.
sauce?
So next time, throw your garlic in a little bit later. The garlic cooks faster than the chicken. And so sometimes you want to do the chicken mostly and then put the garlic in for flavor as opposed to start with the garlic, because by the time it gets done, the garlic has a little bit of a burnt taste.
Yeah, almost very much like a vinegar. I mean,
It
it
does,
tastes
yep.
like vinegar to me. Yeah.
Yep. Other than that, I would say that
Chicken is good.
just a little hair less on the sauce and let the sauce accent the meal as opposed to
Yeah.
swim in it.
Yeah.
Other than that, well done.
Good job, Grant.
All right, what I made for you today is chicken with garlic and lemon with rosemary and thyme, and the
Some mashed potatoes.
yeah, and then the fat started leaking out of it, and that's not good. And I think the chicken's a bit raw,
Raw.
or not raw, undercooked.
Or raw. It's cooked enough, I'm willing to taste it.
Okay.
Thyme,
Yes.
little rosemary.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that flavor. I love that flavor with chicken.
Yeah.
The sauce definitely
Yeah.
needs some work.
Yeah, I was thinking about taking it out. I probably should have, but you know.
So rosemary is a very hard spice to use because it's very overpowering.
Oh.
But you have done a very nice job of just bringing in enough of the rosemary to accent it with the thyme. It's very subtle. And I'll disagree. I think the chicken is cooked perfectly. I think you've
Yeah,
got
I
it
think it's
perfectly
good.
moist. I think you're right on the money.
Thank you.
Well done. I think the sauce, obviously, next time.
Yeah.
A little
little
less
more.
like mashed potatoes.
Yeah, and a little
The
bit.
flavor is good. It
It
could be
is.
a little stronger. I think
Alright.
it's the
Yep.
on the sauce, but
Yeah, the sauce could have a little more.
a little more flavor in
Flavor
the
in the
sauce.
cheese, yep.
And if it was a little more saucy, then that would be good too. But
But the chicken's done perfectly.
Thank you.
Yep.
awesome. Thanks.
Yep.
Hey, Claire.
Hello. I made an onion, garlic, and lemon chicken with cheddar sauce.
Hey, Claire.
Hello. I made an onion, garlic, and lemon chicken with cheddar sauce.
Cheddar sauce. Very good.
This looks good.
It does.
I'm a slower biter.
Claire, are those red peppers on top?
Yes.
No, nicely done.
So I think that it could be cooked a little longer.
I actually was
Disagree?
watching. Well, I was watching Claire, and she put
Fair.
the chicken in when the pan was a little bit cool. And what happened is we have a little rubbery chicken taste because of the slow cooking at a lower temperature. And so the chicken is a little bit rubbery, but the presentation is well done and the cheese is well done on top. It's very difficult to get a cheddar cheese to melt properly because of the way it's made. It doesn't have the right ingredients to melt properly. So sometimes a cheddar doesn't make the best sauce. So it's probably the next time, probably layer your cheddar and put a sauce on top of the cheddar rather than try to make the sauce out of the cheddar. Cheddar cheese doesn't make a good sauce, unfortunately. I like the approach.
Yeah. I liked the flavor of the sauce. I took
Yep.
5 bites of it.
Okay.
It had a good,
Yep.
I thought it had a good flavor. It was
Yep.
a little gritty to me.
Well, that's the
And
challenge.
That's the challenge.
That's the challenge
that we're talking about,
right. So a lot of people will blend a cheddar with another cheese like a mozzarella that will give it the fluid nature that they're looking for without overbearing the cheddar, with allowing the cheddar to still come through. So sometimes you might need to play with a cheese that melts a little bit lower temperature with your cheddar to get it that texture that you're looking for and still have the cheddar flavor.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Cook for us.
My chicken is cooked in a lemon garlic sauce, but it's not really that thick, and it kind of was on the heat a little long.
All right, let's see what we've got.
Third bite, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try another one too.
That lemon comes through nicely. That is very well done on the lemon. It's just enough there that it adds the flavor, but it doesn't make it tart at all.
Right.
But it's well done. The chicken's cooked well, just a hair over, but that's hard.
But
it's
not dry.
Not dry at all.
Not dry. And I actually like it where it's got a little bit of thickness on the outside.
Yeah, I do
not
too.
Not quite crisp, but
A little bit of the caramelized edge. I think this one, the sauce was done just perfectly. We didn't overdo it, we didn't underdo it. There was just enough there to give us the flavor, but it didn't overpower the meal at all. Nicely done.
Yeah.
And nice presentation as well.
great job, Anna. All right, so what'd you think?
I thought everybody did a great job
Definitely.
putting it together.
Yeah.
There were some challenges across the board on the sauces. They were a little bit challenging for everybody. I thought the sauce was definitely a place that they're all going to want to go back home and think about
Right.
what they need to do differently. But I think on a whole, the chickens were all done well and differently, which was very interesting. Everybody approached it differently.
Absolutely. Tell me what you think one of your favorites was.
My favorite had to be Paige's breaded chicken. I thought she did
Absolutely.
that beautifully.
Absolutely.
For the first time out making something like that, she executed that with finesse that is beyond her age.
Right.
And to me, that was the meal that had all the pieces together perfectly tonight.
Right.
And that would have to be my winner this evening.
I would totally agree. I love the breaded chicken. It wasn't too much. Sometimes it's got too much breading to it. And
It
it
scared
gets
me when
soggy.
she first told me she was going to make breaded chicken. I was waiting for a disaster.
It can be soggy, or you can actually, when you're using some cheese in there, you can very easily burn the Parmesan when you've got the
Absolutely.
breadcrumbs mixed in with the Parmesan. So she did a really fantastic job. There were a couple of others that were close to that, so we definitely have some decisions to make.
Yes, they're going to be hard ones to pick the other ones.
Yep, absolutely. Go. Okay, you guys, I am so proud of you. Who's the youngest? Anna? How old are you?
10.
10?
10.
10.
All right. I didn't know how to do that when I was 10.
No kidding,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, when I was 10, I think I was eating Little Debbie snacks, right?
Well, Twinkies.
And then our oldest is Jenna. How old are you?
15.
15. And so the meals that y'all put together today were amazing. So remember that everything that we said was to help you grow as a young chef. All right, so before we get to our winners, I want to mention a couple of honorable mentions of a couple of kiddos that really stood out tonight for me. So first would be
Claire.
Claire. Claire's cheddar sauce was amazing.
Yes, it was.
What did you like
Love
best about it?
Just even attempting it was amazing, and then
Yeah.
pulling it off was even more amazing
Right.
to me. I don't.
Flavor was
yeah.
really, really there.
Accented the chicken beautifully.
Absolutely. And then I really want to call out Jenna. So Jenna tried to sprinkle some salt on the top, and the top came off, and it looked like rock candy all over it. But you kept your composure, and you were resilient about it, and you kept going, and you had a positive attitude. And I promise you that that kind of attitude will take you way further than any recipe that you will ever make. So nice job on being resilient.
Absolutely. I think that was, you could just have fallen apart right there, and she
Right.
did. She turned
I
around
would
and,
have.
and went forward with it and presented it, and
For sure.
in all honesty, the chicken was really well done. It
Yeah.
was just a
It's
little bit of the
just
salt.
covered in salt a little bit, but that's okay. So I can't wait to see what you do next
Yes,
time.
we want to
okay?
try it without the mound of salt.
Yeah. All right, and our winner tonight is.
And before we do the winner, we put together all of the pieces, the sauce, the presentation, the cooking, the execution. All of the pieces came together perfectly.
It was tough.
It
Like,
was
It was
hard.
really, really hard because
Yeah.
they were all really, really good. Really, really good. So should we
what was
tell
yours?
them?
Yep. Go ahead.
Paige, congratulations for being our very first winner. Very good job. Now pretend that I'm going to give you something, and then I'm going to give you a hug. I'm going to say, look right in that camera, and I'm going to think of something really cool to do like this, okay?